children and try to introduce them to computers, the reality is very different, right? And this picture here I took in a slum in the north part of the city of São Paulo 4 or 5 years ago. And they have a computer technology center, a community technology center that's about like 2 blocks from there. And then one day we decided to bring the kids over. It's free access to computers and the internet. Kids were extremely excited. You know, the first time they were going to actually put their hands on the keyboard. But when they got there, they soon realized that, you know, what could be like perhaps one of the happiest days of their lives turned out to be one of the most frustrating days that they've ever had. Because they realized that they couldn't really understand what was happening in that machine. You know, most of those kids were illiterate, right? And even the ones who were literate, they couldn't really see what they could do with the computer right away. You know, the metaphors that we use, like folders and documents, all that stuff, it's very far off from their reality, right? And then if the ones that try to find some information about their communities, they couldn't find anything. Their communities don't exist. So what they were seeing as their like ticket to the knowledge society turned out to be another door or a gate that was preventing them from joining. It turned out to be very frustrating. And we, as a group, we believe that the technology has tremendous potential to empower children, right? To foster like youth inclusion, participation, and local civic engagement. However, most of the existing tools that are available today, they're either too complex or they do not provide the kind of functionality that we need to do this job. Right? For instance, one of the things we like to do is to get kids to run surveys in their community to identify local problems and get to know more about what other people think. And they love to use video cameras for that. Right? So we finally get like a video camera, put in their hands, help them to use them, sort of, and then go out to the street. But there's so many steps, you know, from getting that video into final format that can actually be published online and actually communicate their voice, that a lot of those projects end up going from a community action project to a video production project. And that defies the purpose of what we're trying to do. You know, in other cases, we like kids to be able to draw local maps and add their stories to those maps, in audio or video and other ways. And even though today we have like a Google Maps and all sorts of mapping technologies that are more available to us, these tools do not offer, it's virtually impossible to add your voice to a map on the web. Right? There's some basic things that's not like because of lack of computer power, you know, or the technology is already there. It's just a matter of harnessing that technology in a way that actually makes sense to children. And that's the goal of the Department of Ed. You guys say something funny, if you have a different perspective. So basically, we're trying to build a very simple to use and open source digital toolkit, right? Together with the associated educational activities, right, and support that's needed for those tools to be used in a proper way, right? And basically a toolkit that will help kids capture neighborhood knowledge. That can be audio, imagery, like video, maps, diagrams, anything, right? Put this information together into spatial narratives, be maps, timelines, social representations of different kinds, right? And use that as a way to facilitate initiatives that lead to community empowerment and youth participation and civic engagement. Right? That's the basic idea, what we've been trying to do. This is a new group. Right? We got together in November last year. You know, like started as a group of friends, we're still friends. and we decided to start meeting on a regular basis, like every week, and that's how the notion or the concept of the Department of Play emerged. Right? So we're very informal. Right? We meet like every week, you know, to talk about the projects, you know, new ideas, etc. We organize community meetings with local partners, and the idea is really to push an agenda, you know, and build a community that takes the agenda forward. So once a month, we organize a community working group dinner, usually in this room here, where we invite like representatives of Boston's youth organizations to come over. And this event is organized as an open mic event where everybody has opportunity to talk for 5–10 minutes. And it's a place where like people from the youth organization can talk about the project that they're doing, challenges, new ideas. Students can also talk about things that they're interested in. We can talk about some of the projects we're developing. And the goal is really to build community, and find partnerships. So like perhaps like an idea might find like a person who might implement the technology to support that idea. And this past August, we organized our first like summer institute, where we had like representatives from like UNICEF and Plan International and other large organizations coming here and spending 2 days with us, just brainstorming. First, like we would like to get to know what is it that different organizations are doing in this space, right? And then we will spend some time brainstorming about how to collaborate in the future. And there are many ideas, that people are interested that fit into this. What we're trying to do with the Department of Play. We're going to be talking about these ideas through the rest of the presentation. But just to give you an idea of some of the projects that we're working on, there's so many things that could be implemented. Right? We started from a few of them that we either have already some experience with, or ones that we think are key, to foster youth empowerment. The first project I want to talk about is the WhatsApp system, which is a project that I started here as part of my PhD. I have my PhD from the Media Lab. And the idea here is to build a system that helps kids organize personally meaningful community events. Like to build a system that make it easier for children to organize block parties, games, political events if they're interested in that. And we implemented this system in Lawrence, Massachusetts, a town that's mostly Latino. It's about like an hour from here. And we realized, working with Lawrence, that whenever we organized, there was like a block party, the block party tended to unite like perhaps like 20–30 groups at a time. Dance groups, poetry classes, and other things. And there was a lot of action. The kids would bring their families, like would be like easily like 200–300 people dancing on the street. Right? On the other hand, running a youth survey in the city, we learned that for most of the kids, Lawrence was perhaps like the most boring place in the entire universe. They couldn't see themselves living in Lawrence as adults. Even to go to a movie, they have to go outside the city, right? And then on the one hand, you have like this latent energy, so much potential in there. On the other hand, kids were very frustrated with the city. So there's some sort of miscommunication in there. So we decided to implement a system that will help the kids who are doing things promote their ideas to other kids and the adults in the area. And for the ones who are looking for something to do, they could easily, find about those parties or events and join. Yeah. But the problem is that most of the youth in Lawrence do not have regular access to computers or the internet. A lot of them are also illiterate. So how would you design a system that would facilitate community outreach and would be inclusive to all these children, no matter, independent of the level of access they have to computers or the internet? Yeah. To address this issue, we implement a system called the WhatsApp system. Let me see if I can show it.